And we are live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Auto Club Speedway, live for the Eric Kepf, parentheses, not dead, Memorial 150. Wow, what a race name. Also, it's 160. Get your graphics right, Jeff. All right, we're here in Fontana, California for an 80-lap, 160-mile race here at this 2-mile, I like to call it a super speedway. A lot of people will call it a speedway. But the way it'll race tonight, we'll have to find out. I'm being joined in the broadcast booth tonight by Evan Snyder and Jeff Johnson on production. Evan, this is our first race at a 2-mile track this season, if I'm getting that correct, so a bit of a new challenge for these drivers here. What are we expecting out of this race tonight?
Yeah, first off, glad to be here. Normally I'm behind the wheel of the 93 machine here in the GRL truck series, but glad to be in the booth with you here, Oates. But yeah, it's a very interesting racetrack. I mean, we came to this racetrack last season. It produced a lot of good racing. And you're pretty much right. This is the first time that, other than really a true super speedway, we are seeing these drivers on a 2-mile long track. And it's going to produce some good racing. It is going to be hard to pass here, though, however. So look to, get passes in early, especially off restarts, stuff like that. And we've been talking about it a little bit during the broadcast. Tire wear is going to play a bit of a factor. Sure, we're racing at night here, but that's still going to be an issue, especially taking care of that right front. But I'm interested to see, you got some guys. You got Nathan Jump, who won here last season. He's currently on pole, who can run away with this thing, even Matthew Weeks. And you also have some sleepers up there in the top 10 as well that could also run away with this race here, Oates.
Yeah, I think those underdogs might be one to look for. The draft in this truck is so strong that if we don't get a lot of long runs, this field is not going to spread out, and we could get a race similar to something like Talladega, Daytona. Most recently, this series headed to the Atlanta Super Speedway, and Gavin Fitzgerald came away with the win there. So could we see another underdog driver taking the checkered flag tonight? Well, we're going to have to find out. Why don't we go through our starting lineup as the field rolls off here for the Eric Kepf Not Dead Yet Memorial 160. Nathan Jump puts it on pole, and he's being joined by championship contender Matthew Weeks.
Yeah, right behind him, Chris Hellard in that 11 machine, and then Tony Monge as well in that 24 in that 4th spot.
Row number 3, Jared Darling starts to the inside of Matt Durr.
We got Will Barbagelata and then Hunter Brittle right there in row number 4.
Row 5, Elliot Henderson starts to the inside of Christian Peterson. Peterson comes into this race 14 points behind your championship leader, Hunter Madalinas.
And then Trent Curtis making an appearance here at Auto Club. And to his outside, you'll have Tyrell Baker in that number 8 car.
Yeah, Daytona winner from earlier this season, maybe looking to repeat. Row number 7, Lewis Woodall starts to the inside of Michael Senzi.
And you got Aiden DuPont in that 15 spot. It's been stringing together some nice races for DuPont in that 00 machine, so he's looking to keep his things rolling. And you got the 29 of Paul Witt to his outside.
Row number 9, Zach Henry starts to the inside of your championship leader, Hunter Madalinas. He struggled in qualifying and will be starting all the way back in 18th.
And you got last season's pole sitter Shane Neiswanger there in 19th, and then Brett Kingcott outside in 20th.
Row 11, Robin Durs. He starts to the inside of Gavin Fitzgerald.
And then, of course, the race this is named after, Eric Kepf, who is not dead, starting there in 23rd, and then Rod Basnoff starting in 24th.
Getting towards the back of the pack now, row 13, Jared Duda to the inside of Nicholas Caressel.
Those two very familiar. He runs the OSRL series here on Split Second. You got Jackson Sims and then Cody McCarkle in that 82 machine.
I think we've had a little bit of a shake-up towards the back as people have elected to start from pit road. So that's going to do it for your starting lineup. It'll be Nathan Jump, your defending champion, but he ran a part-time schedule this season, not in the playoffs, on pole. And Evan, one of the things that I'm really interested about in this race is how the championship is going to look coming out of it. Hunter Madalinas has been dominant these past couple of weeks. He's picked up a countless number of wins, including last week at Iowa. But today, he starts all the way back in 18th. What do you think's going on with that number 7 truck?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of work here for Madalinas. Has 6 wins on the season, like you mentioned, 11 top 5s, also 12 top 10s to go along with it. Only 14 points above Christian Pedersen, who also has 2 wins to his credit. But yeah, going to be a lot of work here for Hunter Madalinas, but I think he's going to be able to drive through the field and not really have much of an issue. I talked to him before the race also started, and he said it's just another race to him. He's not going to really make too big of a deal out of it. He's just going to take it 1 lap at a time, and his main goal is just to gain as many points as possible and making sure that he has this championship lead coming out of Auto Club.
Yeah, definitely. Auto Club, one of the most unique tracks on the schedule. It's very bumpy, very multi-groove, very wide. There's really going to be a lot of factors at play. I think those bumps especially could throw a couple of drivers for a rough ride. It's a unique challenge, but we are in for a fun race tonight. Nathan Jump on pole will lead us to green, and we are underway in California. Out of turn 4, you see Terrell Baker up on that high side, already trying to forge his own path. But coming to the line to end lap 1, it'll be Nathan Jump who leads early. Tony Manji to his inside, going to try and take it away into turn number 1. Matthew Week 6 behind in 3rd. Lap 2 underway.
Yeah, and a lot of cars here towards the back of the pack here with the onward spot. Kind of jostling back and forth here for some positioning. But like you mentioned there, Oates, you see Tyrell Baker already jumping that out lane. I think we're going to see a lot of guys here ripping that wall like the number 8 car is doing. But I wasn't expecting this early in a run. I was maybe expecting a little bit later in a run as, you know, the tires start down a little bit and you're able to manage that high line a little bit better. But the plus side for that number 8 truck, is he's going to have a really good run off these turns and hopefully get to the back of the bumper and make some passes here early on in this race.
Passing definitely going to be, honestly, probably not as difficult here as it has been the past couple of weeks. You know, Iowa, New Hampshire we've been to in the past couple of weeks. Those are tracks where it can really be difficult to forge your way around another driver. But here at Auto Club, you got a lot of room to play with. Terrell Baker, by the way, already on the move. He's up into P6 on the outside, and he's going for more. Baker, one of those drivers who loves experimenting with these alternate lines. You can see he is not afraid of getting high, wide, and handsome. Barbagelata, though, going to cut him off through 3 and 4. Baker going to push him down the front.
Yeah, Tyrell Baker trying to make some early moves here. But Tony Monge, one guy, started 4th, currently fighting for that 2nd spot. As you see a whole jostle of cars dive in here, going through 1 and 2. Some really good battling here early on here, Oates, and I love to see it. You got some guys kind of going 3 wide a little bit, 2 wide, door to door. You see Tyrell Baker coming off of turn 2, back all over the bumper of that 27 machine of Will Barbagelata.
We just got so much room to play with here, Evan. I mean, there's so many different ways around this racetrack. It doesn't surprise me at all that drivers are already kind of swinging for the fences, looking around. You see Baker getting back down towards the bottom. Mostly double file through the field with your top 2 breaking away single. See Manji and Barbagelata going side by side for 3rd. But yeah, that you're already seeing how the draft is kind of coming into play here. The field not really spreading out. Everyone's staying double wide.
I think so too as well. You want to try to make these passes as quickly as you can early in a run. I mean, 26 to 28 laps, you could probably push it to 30 on your fuel, depending on kind of the draft, being able to help you save some fuel. But of course, the biggest thing is your tires. I mean, of course, as this run goes on, it's going to be a lot harder to pass as these tires wear down, especially that right front, which is something you definitely want to preserve the best you can. But I think for a lot of these guys, they want to try to get through this field or get around some cars as quickly as possible. I mean, especially guys like Jump and even Heller and possibly even Manji, who are going to be really good on the long run.
Well, you'd think it'd be about the right front, but honestly, it depends on the setup. I think with this new truck, no one really knows what's going to happen as the run goes on, and Auto Club is one of those tracks where you can really lean it out on the right rear if you're not careful. Now, of course, a lot of drivers might prefer a looser setup, but a lot of these guys that are used to a bit of a tighter feeling race car, that could come back to bite them later, but there's really only one way to tell, and that's by getting this race going. So far, though, no handling issues. Everyone seems to be hooked up pretty well. We've been clean and green for the first 6 laps.
Yeah, another thing, too, it happened last season in Auto Club. We had very long green flag runs last season at Auto Club. So I'm not going to be surprised here if we do have very long green flag runs. If, you know, maybe I would say at max we'll probably see at least 3 cautions, and that's kind of pushing it, especially with some of these drivers where, you know, they race pretty cleanly on stuff that is on racetracks that are over 1.5 miles. We see some of the short track racing has not been too great this season, GLR. Not knocking on any of the drivers. I'm guilty of myself of that, but typically on these lot longer racetracks, you see a lot more green flag runs and you see a lot cleaner racing.
We're watching Hunter Madalinas right now, and he has really not made that much forward progress. He's still mired down in the 15th position after starting P18. He has Aiden DuPont to his outside. So, Evan, one of the things I actually wanted to talk about is kind of the unique challenge of Auto Club. I feel like this is one of those tracks where just because you're good everywhere else doesn't mean you're going to come to Auto Club and succeed. And I think we're seeing Hunter Madalinas having to contend with a little bit more of a challenge than he has the past couple of weeks. I definitely don't want to rule him out. He's still, for sure, he's got to be one of the favorites to win this race, but right now he's off to a slow start.
I mean, yeah, we're only 8 laps into this race, so I would not count Madalinas out at all. I mean, the guy has pace. He's one of the best drivers in this field. Some mistakes in prior races have definitely came back and shot him in the foot when it comes to placing well. So I think if he just keeps the car clean, doesn't try to overdrive the car too much, he's going to pick off these drivers that are in front of him. I mean, you got Aiden DuPont, you got the 51, you also got Michael Senzi and Matt Durr, in that 44 machine in front of him. I just think if you are Madalinas, you don't panic, you just stay calm the best you can. Sure, he has that pressure of, only being 14 points up to Christian Pedersen. But I mean, I talked to him before the race, and even his teammates, Elliot Henderson and Michael Senzi, were kind of making fun of him about how he was panicking last week at Iowa, about how he was panicking about, I got to finish well. Oh, Pedersen's 1 or 2 positions behind me. I think you just got to put that in the back of your mind and just grind out this race. We're only 10 laps in, and there's nothing really to worry about. He will make his way up through this field.
Stay calm, eyes forward. I think that's about the best advice you could give anyone in this field. Look at some of the racing going on right now, by the way. They were 3 wide all the way through 1 and 2. Trent Curtis was in a good bit of that. Here's Matthew Weeks now on Hunter Brittle. That battles for 8th. And look ahead, Terrell Baker has found his way back up to the outside wall. So he's trying that line once again as the tires wear out just a little bit. Weeks, another driver to look forward to as Peterson and Madalena struggle. I think that this could be a good opportunity for Matthew Weeks to close up that championship gap just a little bit. Right now, though, it's all about Nathan Jump, Chris Heller, and Will Barbagelata, those 3 leading the way. Heller and Barbagelata both winless so far this season. So they're going to go 3 wide behind. Watch for Baker on the high side.
Yeah, TCB making that high side work in that number 8 truck. I mean, I mentioned it. He's going to get a really good drive off the corner compared to all these guys that are kind of really arcing into the turn, which a majority of the drivers, as we see actually Barbagelata going up high with the number 8 truck. I think, you have 2 kind of mixed bag strategies at the moment how to take these turns. You have the big arc that a lot of these drivers are using, which probably is helping them save a little bit more tire. They're not taking as aggressive as an angle into the turn. And then you have some of these guys like Barbagelata, Baker, and you see the 56 of Weeks actually jump up in there as well, where they're going to get a lot more of aggressive drive off the corner. It might eat away their tires a little bit more, but I think that's honestly a good trade-off, especially you're competing with some of these guys who are a lot faster.
Heller's falling back a little bit on the bottom. He's under fire from Jared Darling and Terrell Baker, who's going up against the outside wall. Now Barbagelata's taking a look at the lead on Nathan Jump, but Jump uses the momentum on the high side to stay in front. Another thing we're seeing here, watch how Chris Heller on the front straightaway gets passed up by both Baker and, well, Henderson's going to let him in line, but he would have gotten past had Henderson not lifted. That's what we call the freight train, as Henderson nearly gets into the left rear of Chris Heller, but you might see it here with Darling in 1 and 2. If you get out of line to make a pass and you can't get back up in that draft, you're not in a great spot going down the straightaway.
Yeah, no, and especially
Darling right there went the pass on Manji. He's going to lose another one to Terrell Baker into turn 3.
Yeah, especially at Auto Club, you don't think the draft is going to matter a whole lot, but it does. I mean, it's like you mentioned earlier in the broadcast, so it's off rip. It's almost like a super speedway. So if you lose that draft at all, it's going to be a huge detriment, and also too, it's going to weigh you down. It's going to basically weigh your truck down and feel like you're just in quicksand, so to speak. So you want to try to stick to the back bumper of the truck in front of you the best you can, and then of course wait for your opportunity to pass, and just wait for a good run off corner exit.
Henderson took a big shot at it there through 1 and 2. He went to the inside of Darling and Heller, trying to make up spots on the bottom. Now they're scrambling in the midfield. Looks like one truck got in the wall. That was the 29. He's moving backwards in a hurry. I believe he might actually be a lap down. So all sorts of chaos going on here at Auto Club. They're 3 wide for 4th, by the way. Baker on the high side, barely clear of Darling, and Henderson will cut in line. Gets in front of both of those two, so he is clear up into 4th. We talked about Auto Club being sort of like a super speedway. Well, Terrell Baker, he knows how to win at those super speedways. He won at Daytona earlier this season.
Yeah, and that's really been in TCB before or after that race. Hasn't really put together too much, but the past couple races for him have been pretty solid if he's able to stay out of trouble. And so he's really good at tracks, over Mount High. Oh, we actually got contact kind of towards the back of the pack. The 92 of Michael Senzi kind of got on the wall a little bit, and 82 Pont got into the back of him, but they're able to keep it straight. So get a little hairy back here for about 12th on back, as we even see some really good action as Shane Neiswanger side by side with the number 5 of Brett Kingcott.
Yeah, tires are starting to wear. Things are starting to get a little bit sketchy. Kingcott and Neiswanger side by side into turn 1. Senzi just in front of them. Neiswanger looks like he's trying to find a lane to the outside of Aiden DuPont. DuPont's going to show him the right rear and run him out of room. Looking just a little bit ahead of that battle, you see the 7 truck of Hunter Madalinas as there's a big scramble on the back straightaway. Eric Kepf all the way down by the apron going into turn number 3. He's going to get to the inside of Paul Witt and also the 6 of Jackson Sims. 2 for 1 for Eric Kepf.
Yeah, great pass there by Eric Kepf, who is not dead like we mentioned, but it is his memorial race, so shout out to Eric. I know he makes a lot of the paint schemes for the guys running here tonight. Always does an amazing job on those paint schemes. He also did my Liquid Death truck, or 2 of them, that is. But I think we are going to see a little bit what we're seeing right now. We are going to see a lot of pack racing here, Oates, as we have this, lead pack between 1st all the way back to round 10th. So those top 10 guys are kind of running away with it. And then, of course, you have these guys that are 11th down to around 18th kind of running together. And then, of course, you have that other pack where Eric Kepf and co. are kind of running as well. So you kind of have 3 different packs that are all trying to catch up to each other. But this lead pack, if you're not able to get into the draft and get on the tail end of the 71 machine of Christian Peterson, if you're Darren Hunter Madalinas, that's your main goal at the moment, I believe, is to get caught back up with that lead pack.
Top 3 have all gone to the high side. That includes Baker, who was the first to jump up there. And Evan, I know you were talking about the Highline maybe wearing out tires earlier on in the run, but that really does not seem to be the case right now. Baker has actually moved forward on this long run. He is up to 3rd.
Yeah,
see what he does here in 3 and 4. He might take a swing at Barbagelata on the bottom. No, he was trying to fake him out, but watch how much earlier Baker gets off the gas and then back on it. He's just able to get such a nice run out of the corner. Maybe not this time, though. Here comes Darling with a head of steam on the inside. He'll cut up, but Baker squeezes to the outside. Nearly feeds him the door down the front straightaway.
Yeah, a lot of good racing here early on. 19 laps in, and these guys are racing like it's the last 5, so you love to see it. But yeah, I think, it's helping a lot that you're able to kind of lift and coast into these turns on that high line. You might have to lift
4 wide out of turn number 2. Oh, watch out. They all keep it clean, nearly. Weeks shoves himself back in line behind Baker. That got very, very close out of turn number 2. And I think it all started because Baker gave the outside wall a good slap through that corner.
And the beauty with this racing that we are seeing, Oates, it's going to give Matt Duran that 44 truck and also Hunter Madalinas, who's kind of waiting in the wings as well, to kind of catch up to this lead pack. And that's kind of what you want if you are the 44 and the 7 at the moment. You want the guys in front just to race each other very, very hard and open that door back up to be able to inch back into that lead.
Yeah, the pin has gone off the proverbial grenade. These drivers are all over the place racing like it is the last lap. And honestly, Evan, I'm going to take back what I said about Baker. He is starting to drop backwards. I think that Highline might have taken its toll. How about Jared Darling, though? He's up into 2nd and gaining on Nathan Jump. He's been using that bottom lane better than anyone these past couple of laps.
Yeah, Darling also, too, started 5th, currently up to 3rd for him. And even Will Barbagelata in 2nd in that 27 machine. He's right on the tail of Nathan Jump. Also started 7th. He's currently up to 2nd. So these guys just had really good restarts. And I think what's helping too is as these tires wear, it's actually helping them a lot. We could even see that low line or even that middle line even coming into play as well, where some guys, like you mentioned before, Oates, you can really run almost anywhere on this racetrack. You have some guys that were arcing, like I mentioned. You have some guys ripping the top. You have even some guys starting to run that middle line too, which could also help a lot with controlling these tires late in the run.
Well, what I love about what Jared Darling is doing is that while everyone else was fighting for the outside line, Darling was perfectly content just staying on the bottom, and because of that, he had such a shorter distance around the track. That's how he was able to make up so many of his spots. So in a race where everyone's fighting for the top side, it can be just as important to be comfortable on the bottom. Take a look at this pack, by the way. It's being headed up by the 00 of Aiden DuPont, but it is 3 wide, 2 rows deep behind him.
Yeah, great job here from Aiden DuPont. Currently up 2 positions from where he started, starting 15th, and that 92 of Michael Senzi has been all over his bumper. And of course, he's under attack of Shane Weissmonger in that 49 machine, and also kind of the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald, who's been kind of on his bumper as well. And of course, you have the 51 of Trent Curtis thrown in that fray too, as Curtis and Weissmonger get an absolute run off the backstretch going into 3 and 4.
Back up front, Terrell Baker threw a haymaker into turn 3 and barely cleared the 27. Caution out on the track. Baker got up to third as that happened, but the caution appears to be towards the back of the field. 29 car, Paul Witt on the back straightaway.
I mean, hey, for some of these guys, that's actually fortunate for them, especially if you are a leader, kind of fighting for that, top 5 position.
Caution? There's no way that was the caution. He didn't even go around.
Yeah, you had to see the replay. I'm not sure what happened. I did not see. I was too busy focusing on this battle between Weissmonger and DuPont. I just got up on the wall.
Well, I can't really describe what happened, but he came off turn 2, sort of got squeezed to the outside wall, and then kind of just hooked it hard right and locked up. I wonder if maybe his wheel broke. Actually, that's what I'm going to bet on, because kind of all at once, he just slammed it into the outside wall, and I can't really think of another reason to do that. I mean, he's not rage quitting, he's still in the race.
Yeah, unfortunate for Paul Witt. I'm curious what's going to happen there, as we got some guys, checking up big,
split decisions.
But like I was gonna say though, is if you are a leader, kind of fighting for a top 5, top 10 position, this is exactly what you kind of wanted. I mean, we were kind of coming towards the end of a fuel run here, lap 22. Like I mentioned, 26 and 28 is about where we're going to see for a fuel run here, Oates. So this is actually a very well-timed caution, especially if you can win the race off pit road.
Yeah, everyone going to come down pit road for 4 fresh tires and fuel. Still not quite sure what happened to Paul Witt. I think we're going to throw that up to a mechanical failure, bringing out your first caution of the night. Now we'll see who wins the race off pit road. It's headed up by your defending champion, Nathan Jump. He won a couple of weeks ago at New Hampshire, if you'll remember that. Left sides are up on the 41 car. Baker's out first. Here they come to the line, and Nathan Jump going to win the race off pit road, followed by Baker. Then I believe that's Jared Darling, Manji, Barbagelato, Weeks in 6th. Peterson 8th, and Hunter Madalinas has broken into the top 10 for the first time tonight. He comes out in 10th.
Yeah, it's huge for Baker, as he was kind of fighting in that top 5 position, so far early in this race. So good for him to win that race off of pit road. Going to be second. Surprised nobody really got some speeding penalties there. I saw some people that looked like they're absolutely flying down pit lane trying to beat some cars for positioning.
Yeah, no penalties on pit road, and that'll definitely be a factor later on in this race. We haven't really seen it too many times this season, but execution is not something that you can really overlook when you're racing. I mean, for the most part, drivers have been pretty good about closing out races this season. I can't really think of any choke jobs that come to mind, but you don't want to be the guy leading with 10 to go, and then you get a speeding penalty on pit road.
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate. Luckily, a lot of these guys are very disciplined on pit road. I don't even think we've seen that many speeding penalties thus far this season. I know I've gotten close a couple of times. And I know there's probably just only been a handful of speeding penalties so far this season. So a lot of these guys are good off pit road, and they, not try to let a simple mistake like that, because that could ruin your race here at Auto Club. That simple of a penalty and that simple of a mistake as well.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty quick caution. We're going to go back green this time by. Everybody is still on the lead lap, from your leader, Nathan Jump, all the way down to Rod Fasnaugh in 32nd. We are watching the Eric Kepf Not Dead Yet Memorial 160 here from the Auto Club Speedway in beautiful Fontana, California.
Glad to see the graphic got updated to 160, not 150. Shout out to Jeff.
Yep. I think he did it while I was talking about it too, which is pretty funny. Thanks, Jeff. All right, coming back to green this time by. A bit of a reset on the field. We'll have 55 laps to go when we get the green. Kind of in the same spot as we were on lap 0, Evan. I mean, nobody has dropped out of the race. Nobody's gone a lap down, and we are all now on fresh tires and fuel from here. These drivers should... Ooh, actually, it could be a fuel race from here. Definitely extend this stint if you can.
Yeah, it's going to be tight on fuel. I have 56 laps to go, so it's still going to be very tight. I do think these drivers are going to have to make at least one more pit stop here, Oates. I don't, even though
But
if
they'll
you do
definitely have to make
save
one more, definitely.
Yeah, I think you need one more pit stop, and if no cautions come out, then you'll be good.
Yeah, definitely. All right, here we go. Pace car is down pit road. Nathan Jump leads us into the restart zone. He's been dominant tonight and looks to continue that. We are back green from Fontana. Orderly so far, but Tony Manji jumps out of line. He's going to go to the bottom. Baker was sleeping on the restart. He's down a couple of spots as they rocket off towards turn number 1. Most of the field, though, staying disciplined and double file through the first 2 turns. Darling loose. He's up the track. That'll open up the door for 4 wide out of turn number 2. Whoa, watch out.
Yeah, it looks like they're the... Sorry, excuse me. It looks like Jared Darling kind of got down on the apron there through 1 and 2, and that just sent him a little squirrely. As we even see coming off of 2, we saw Hunter Brittle in that 10 machine also have a big snap coming off of 2, and that dropped him a bunch of spots. I believe that drops him about like 8 spots, unfortunately, there for Hunter Brittle.
Well, look who that brought up into the fray. Hunter Madalinas and Christian Peterson are now right here with your leaders. And Madalinas, he might have been looking up the middle there between Darling and Manji to make it 3 wide. Peterson's moving backwards on this restart. He's lost a handful of spots, but that 7 truck is flying. He is up to 7th.
Like I mentioned, it's only going to be a matter of time before we see that number 7 truck work his way through the field. Excuse me. I can see here, currently 7th. That pit stop, I think, helped Hunter Madalinas out a whole bunch as he's slowly kind of working his way through. And even Tyrell Baker kind of trying to hang on to 3rd, trying to get back around Jared Darling. But one guy I do want to mention here, Oates, is the 92 of Michael Senzi. Dropped all the way down to 29th. I don't know if he had a mishap on pit road or what happened to him, but he's fallen a bunch of spots, maybe even got a penalty. I'm not 100% sure. But he drops all the way down to 29th. He was kind of fighting for a top 10 position early on in this race as well. And like I mentioned, Hunter Brittle fell all the way down to 15th after that unfortunate restart coming off of 2 where he just snapped loose, and he lost a whole bunch of positions.
Yeah, restarts at Auto Club, one of the hardest things to get right in sim racing. There's so many lanes, it's hard to know where to go and what to protect. Madalina's definitely got it right, though. On the outside of Jared Darling, he is going to move his way up to 4th and maybe try to split the difference between the 1 and the 8 truck. He'll get to the right rear of Darling. He's going to get squeezed out just a little bit. Darling not able to defend the spot, so Baker's going to keep it. Madalinas is going to gain 1. Darling's moving backwards on the inside. Down towards turn 3 now. It's a fight for the bottom again, except for Baker, who is all the way up by the wall.
Yeah, the beauty with Tyrell Baker running that outside lane as well, it makes it really hard for any cars that choose that low line or that middle lane, because Baker's almost basically planting his truck on that corner exit and making it very hard for anybody running that low line to slide back up into position. So it's really good defensive driving here from Baker as him and 7 Madalinas go through 1 and 2, and you actually see TCB kind of take a lower line that time to kind of help stop any run from Madalinas, which actually helped out a huge as Tony Manji is able to get around the 7 truck.
Yeah, that was a smart play there by the 8 of Baker. It took a little bit of heat off his back and held up the 7 truck just a little bit more. But I think it's painfully obvious that Hunter Madalinas definitely gained something or learned something from that first run of the race, because whereas before he was struggling to get to the top 10, right now he is running solidly inside the top 5. Meanwhile, Peterson and Weeks going out of behind as Jared Darling continues to fall back. Wonder what's going on with that 1 truck, Evan.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if just Darling's just having a bunch of just bad corners, a bad couple laps, because that could very easily happen here at Auto Club. It almost feels like once you have one really bad lap at this racetrack, it feels like about 10 to 15 bad laps ensue afterwards. And, you know, sometimes it can get into your head a little bit. And I don't know if that's exactly what's going on with Jared Darling, but he is kind of dropping like a rock. Currently was up to 2nd place at one point. Now he's kind of fighting with that 49 machine of Shea Neiswanger, who's worked his way up into the top 10, where he started 19th, currently up to 9th, trying to pass that 1 car for the 8th spot.
And look at this. Weeks, Madalinas, and Peterson are all three of those championship contenders under a blanket through 1 and 2. Peterson all over the back bumper of Madalinas as they exit the corner. Weeks hanging tough on the inside. They know what's on the line here, and they are racing hard for it.
Yeah, and if you are Peterson, you are Weeks. That 7 truck in front of you is the guy that you are racing. And I mean, if you are Peterson, like I mentioned early in the broadcast, Madalinas was worried about him. And, he's worried about letting up any spots at all to that truck. So if you just keep the pressure on to Madalinas, eventually, he's probably going to crack. I mean, Madalinas isn't normally a guy who cracks underneath the pressure. We just have to wait and see as they fly through 1 and 2 back onto the backstretch.
And Baker to the high side of Barbagelata is going to take that second spot away from him, jump down to break the draft. Baker's on a charge. He wants the lead. But back to your point about this championship battle, I think Christian Peterson needs a statement. It's been a while since Peterson's really come out here and I don't want to say done well in a race. He's had a lot of good runs, but it's been a while since he's been able to really show himself as a contender. And I think that if you're Christian Peterson, that's kind of the morale boost that you need here. It'll be hard to erase the championship lead all in one race, but I mean, hey, we know Peterson's fast enough to beat Madalinas. I think he just needs to go out there and make a statement.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Peterson also has 2 wins on the season so far, so he knows how to win. I mean, it's been a while since he has won his last race, and of course, he knows what's on the line. Currently 14 points back from our championship leader in Hunter Madalinas. But I think, though, like you mentioned, Oates, he just needs to come out here, just run his own race, not try to worry about that gap too much. I mean, if he can come out of this race with closing up that gap within 10 points, I think, honestly, that is a moral victory for Peterson, especially with the season that Hunter Madalinas is having.
And Peterson's going to the inside of Madalinas. They nearly touched through 1 and 2. 3 wide with Barbs on the outside. It'll be tight coming off the corner, but Peterson's going to lose out on the bottom. Not enough momentum to hang with the 27. And out of all that, it was Hunter Madalinas that gained a spot. Peterson's going to lose 2.
And what a slide
bad
job
set of corners there. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, what a slide job there from Hunter Madalinas. He's going to carry that momentum onto the 24 truck of Tony Monge, who slides up to block him a little bit.
So momentum back in favor of Madalinas. I thought it was with Peterson for a second there, but now it is all about that 7 truck on lap 35, getting closer to that halfway point. Back up front, Baker has the lead at 1/10 of a second. He is, I don't want to say hounding Nathan Jump for the lead, but he's definitely putting up a fight. Look at him rip that outside wall. He is about as close as you can get.
Yeah, my assumption was right, where you see a lot of these guys that are opting to that inside lane, such as Nathan Jump, who started that outside lane, kind of arcing the corner a little bit more, is starting to run the top. I mean, you have Tony Monge running up there, you have Shane Weissmonger, Barbagelata is also up there as well, and I believe the 71 of Christian Peterson as well. So as the run goes on, I think that high line is definitely the preferable line. It is a lot faster than that inside line because, of course, that drive you get off a corner exit. And like you mentioned, TCB all over the back of the 41.
Here goes the 8 truck down to the bottom. It's going to be a slider into turn 1, and he's got it for now. Jump going to try the crossover on exit. Baker with the momentum. They'll be even down the back straightaway, toe-to-toe as Madalinas goes for 3rd. Baker on the side draft. Jump on the bottom into turn 3. Jump's going to squeeze back up in front. Baker not taking it easy. He's hanging on the right rear. I don't think Jump's going to be clear out of the corner. They're still side by side behind him. So 2 wide, 2 rows deep. At the line, it's going to be Terrell Baker, who edges out in front of Nathan Jump.
This is amazing racing here, Oates. I knew exactly what we were going to get coming into Auto Club based on how it went last year. I mean, we saw 6 different leaders, 18 lead changes last season at this racetrack. Now, I'm not surprised here as we see the cars kind of get jumbled up, and TCB actually has a terrible run there out of 2. That's going to open doors. Accordion effects. Oh, we got a car.
Trouble!
We got a car.
Barbagelata gets turned. So does Baker. He's into the air for a moment.
Oh,
Caution
no,
is out on the back straightaway.
Oh, that
Baker's race might just be done.
Yeah, it looked like Baker just had a terrible corner exit there coming out of 2, and it just stacked up that entire outside line of Tony Monge, Barbagelata, I believe, got into that. Even Shane Weissmonger maybe avoided that. Yeah, Shane Weissmonger actually avoided that. But wow, unfortunate for TCB.
Baker
Yeah, he
got
got
the
into the
wall,
wall.
stacked him up so much. He just got stuck in it. And then coming off the corner, watch the 24 truck. He's got Madalinas to his inside, boxing him in. Nowhere to go. And it started with Barbagelata. Oh, and Matthew Weeks. Matthew Weeks got turned as well. So Matthew Weeks, one of your championship contenders, gets caught up in this, and I'm not quite sure what the extent of the damage is. I haven't seen it yet, but you saw him flying off your screen to the left there. Oh, and he's out of the race. Matthew Weeks had to tow. Take another
Yeah,
look
he
at it.
disconnected.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, unfortunately for Matthew Weeks. I mean, another guy that was kind of fighting in the top 5 of the championship points, and man, very unfortunate for him.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not just not that much that could have been done there. I mean, the thing is, you hate to blame it on a guy that wasn't even in the wreck, but Hunter Madalinas just he didn't let Manji go anywhere. I mean, they were all stacked up on the outside. Madalinas didn't give him a lane to move, and look what happened.
Yeah, I mean, I can't necessarily blame Madalinas for that. I mean, he's trying to protect his positioning. I think that's just racing right there, just a race incident. Unfortunate for Tyrell Baker, who just got caught up in the wall. But I mean, I don't blame, Madalinas for doing that. I mean, he doesn't want Tony Monge to get around him, but of course, we do see the effects of that, and it takes, a good amount of guys out of this race potentially.
Yeah, you saw Henderson there as well. He got into the back of the 56. That's what sent him around. It's a really unfortunate situation. You got to think that someone could have done something different there, but nobody did. And we ended up with a 5-car pileup down the back straightaway. We'll go on board with Weeks here. He just checks up and gets ran over.
Yeah, Weeks is just, along for the ride at that point. I mean, unfortunate for him, just gets hit in the back and yeah, just sends him around in the incident. I mean, I feel bad for Weeks there because there's nothing he could have done. He did everything right, checked up for the wreck, and he was just along for the ride at that point, and just
On board with
unfortunate for
Baker
him.
as well, who got picked up off the ground a little bit. Yeah, that was that was definitely tough to watch. You just wish that had not happened. That's probably championship over for Matthew Weeks as well. And gonna be honest, a very big lucky break for Hunter Madalinas because, well, about 5 contenders in this race just got taken out.
Yeah, it really his only competition now is the car still in first place, and that's the 41 machine of Nathan Jump. As Shane Neismonger also going to be the benefactor of that as well. He's going to be in third. And Tyro Baker coming over the radio as well, apologizing for getting into the wall. Obviously did not mean to do it. I mean, that is kind of the risk reward that you do take, though, Oates, of, running that high line. Sometimes you are going to make contact with that outside wall. And, I mean, we saw what happens because of that, especially with how close that front of the pack was racing together.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just an unfortunate situation all around, but definitely not something we wanted to see. We'll have to see how that progresses as the second half of the race gets underway. Obviously, Baker's still in this, probably was able to get that damage repaired. We'll see if he can make his way back up here. Your front two are going to be Nathan Jump and Hunter Madalinas, your defending champion, going up against the driver who looks to take that crown from him. We saw these two battle it out earlier this season as well at New Hampshire. So we'll see how the second round of that fight goes.
Yeah, I'm not surprised to see the 7 and the 41 here at the very front. Because Nathan Jump, of course, won at this racetrack last season, like you mentioned, is the reigning champion. So I'm not surprised to see him up front. Very dominant. Has not had the greatest season, hasn't had the Nathan Jump season and been the Nathan Jump that we know here at GLR, but he did take a bit of a break and came back, and ever since he's came back, he's been running in the top 10, and he has pieced together some really good finishes. And I think tonight he's going to come out here and just make a statement with hopefully continue running the way he is.
Yeah, we'll see what Nathan Jump can do here. We got a Toyota and a Ford on the front row, 2 Chevys pushing back up into the restart zone, and we are back underway from Auto Club. It'll be Neiswanger on the break on the inside. He looks to get clear of Madalinas as they go into turn 1 and will nearly do it. But it's all Nathan Jump alone and out front. Now Neiswanger pops high for a second. He'll duck back in line. Peterson comes through on the bottom as well. That bottom line is moving fast. Peterson actually going to duck out. He'll get to the inside of the 7 truck.
Yeah, great start there from Neiswanger. Like, he's pretty fast at this racetrack as well. He was the pole sitter last season at this racetrack as well. Didn't have that great of a race. Finished that race in 18th last season, but he does have a lot of good pace, and he started 19th. So he's just like Madalinas, has been able to pick his way through in this race so far.
Zach Henry up into the top 5 as well. We haven't talked about him all night. He fell back after a pretty good qualifying effort, and he's mixing it up here as well. Peterson moving backwards a little bit. Your top 2 are side by side as here comes Shane Neiswanger to the outside with Madalinas waiting in the wings, maybe looking to take advantage.
Yeah, I think you are Madalinas. You still have plenty of time here, you know, to kind of let this ride out and kind of let Neiswanger and Jump kind of battle back and forth with each other. But, of course, you got to be wary of that 12 truck of Zach Henry, who also can sometimes have some flashes of speed as he gets right up on that corner panel of that 7 truck.
And Shane Neiswanger, he's not competing for the championship, but he's had a rough playoff so far. He could really use a good race like this to get him up in the points. You know, it's one thing to fight for the championship, but there's still, you know, 9 other places to race for. So Shane Neiswanger definitely out here fighting for something.
Yeah, and I think also for Shane, he just has had some unfortunate spells, getting caught up in some incidents as well in some other races, and just not having, you know, that great of races. Not entirely his fault, you know, getting caught up in accidents or just making simple mistakes. And I know Shane, he wants to compete and he wants to run up here in the front, and he definitely has the pace to do so, as he shows us right here as he's going to lead this lap coming off of 4.
Yeah, Shane is, I don't even think he's led a lap in a race I've commentated this season, but right now he is out front with about 36 laps to go here at Auto Club. So good for him getting up here and mixing it up with the front runners.
Got some great speed, of course, as Jump and Madalinas side by side coming out of 2. Madalinas is going to try to make a run, but he's going to get slightly blocked here by Neiswanger, but he's able to give him a little bit of a shove coming in here to turn 3. And I think this is what we're going to see. We're going to see a bit of this train start to develop a little bit, but of course you got to be careful for some of these slide jobs, because like we saw, one simple checkup can be the absolute end to your race, as we saw with that last caution. So you just got to be wary of that, with especially how close these guys are racing.
Yeah, I mean, with cars all over the place here at Auto Club, you really got to watch out. Now here comes Hunter Madalinas to the inside, looking to take the lead for the first time tonight. 7 trucks on the bottom, but Neiswanger going to move down to cover him off.
And then you see the
Madalinas falls back for now. What will Nathan Jump do on the back straightaway? He's going to go to the inside for second.
You're going to see this jockeying back and forth, but I'm going to say the 71 right all over the bumper of Chris Heller in that 11 truck. And I think that if you are Christian Peterson, kind of your other competition is out of this race for this championship in Matthew Weeks. And I think if you are Peterson, you want to try to be as close to Hunter Madalinas as possible, again, to close up that points gap like we've been mentioning all broadcast long.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to backseat drive, but Peterson's got to get a move on these restarts. 2 times in a row now, he's lost a lot of spots as the run has gotten started, and you just can't make that up later with the short runs we've been getting and the, I don't want to say lack of tire wear, but I mean, we saw Baker swing for the fences earlier on in this race and really not pay for it on the long run. So if you're Christian Peterson, you kind of got to get going. Now Zach Henry up in a third. He's looking to the inside of Hunter Madalinas for second.
Yeah, I think if you are that 71 truck, as he's starting to kind of get into the fray a little bit.
Here we go, 3 wide. He's going to send one down to the inside, all the way onto the apron for Peterson as they go into turn 1. How's he going to drive it? Is he going to send it in? Yes, he will. He'll get to the side of Zach Henry. Brittle and Heller in this fight as well.
You got to be careful there as he slides up in front of that 41 of Nathan Jump, who's fallen off a bunch, as Hunter Brittle's going to try to coast on by him, but unfortunate for Nathan Jump, currently has fallen out of the top 5. So I don't know if he's just having some mishaps or maybe just overdriving corners, making some simple mistakes, but I would not be surprised to see him kind of back fighting for that top 5 position as this race comes to an end here, Oates.
I wonder if maybe he's saving a little bit. I think the fuel window, possibly. I mean, it's not super in play. I think no one can make it at this point, but maybe just trying to save his tires a little bit. I mean, we've thinned out the front pack that he can get to the tail end of it and still be just outside the top 5. So I wonder if maybe he's just saving his tires a little bit, looking for more of an advantage later on.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to make one more pit stop, and we see the 10 get into the back of Chris Heller a little bit as Heller kind of got a little squirrely.
That was a bizarre situation. Heller looked to the inside of Henry and then backed out of it and went back to the wall. I'm not really sure why, but in doing that, he stacked up in front of Hunter Brittle. That's going to allow the 71 to clear the 10, and Hunter Madalinas is going for the lead again, but not quite able to do it. He's got a big push, though, coming from Zach Henry. He's not going to go anywhere with it. He'll stay right behind the 49. I think he knows that if he goes for a move that doesn't work, he's going to be on the freight train going backwards.
Yeah, that push was
maybe
kind of
getting ran over by the freight train.
Yeah,
you know what I
could
meant.
also, yeah, we saw it with Baker, but that push, like you mentioned, kind of got initiated from the number 10 truck of Hunter Brittle. It gave a big old shove to Christian Peterson and that 71 machine and kind of pushed everybody else in front of him. But I want to go back to what you're saying about, Nathan Jump saving. I mean, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, you're going to have 30 laps to go here at the line. You do have to make one more pit stop. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you have one more set of tires in the pits. So, I mean, of course, you kind of want to save. Maybe if there's some green flag stops, maybe there's some strategy going into that, because that could also be a possibility. We don't have another caution for the rest of this race. But again, you don't really want to bank on a caution, but I just don't see having to save tire and saving fuel when, you're going to have to make at least one more stop. And especially at this track with, we're seeing how hard it is to pass with some of these guys as they're all stacked up. Track position is going to be key. So I think if you're the 41 to jump, you're even the number 10, or even, the number 12 and 71 trucks, you want to try to get around as many people as possible before you have to make that last pit stop.
Peterson's making some solid forward progress on the inside. He hasn't gotten around the 12 truck yet, but he's hung with him, which is definitely something. Now Nathan Jump looking up the inside of Brittle and Heller. As another drive into the corner there by Christian Peterson. Gets it down to the bottom. That's a nice arc out of the 71. I think he'll have a good run off the corner here. Not enough to clear Henry, but he'll stay side by side with him down the back straightaway.
Yeah,
Madalinas, by the way, still just waiting in the wings. Has not gone to the lead yet. Has not made a move at it. Gotta wonder if maybe he's just kind of playing with his food for now. Brittle to the high side on Heller.
Yeah, unfortunately, Brittle's not going to make that work as the 41 of Nathan Jump's able to get a little bit of a run. But side by side is him and Jump, and then, of course, in front of him, Peterson and Heller. And even Zach Henry trying to make a move. Yeah.
Henry went for the bottom in 3 and 4. Now here comes Madalinas to the bottom in 1 and 2. Everyone's starting to get a move on just a little bit. Neiswanger and Madalinas fighting for the bottom. Henry going for the third lane. He's going to have a nice run off the corner.
And Brittle just getting into the wall a little bit as Heller came up and blocked him a little bit, but he's able to get a nice run there on Peterson and Jump, of course, right behind him. But I think a lot of these guys, what we're seeing is this high line is kind of working, kind of not. It is defending very well against anybody that is running that low line, but I think where a lot of guys are having success is that middle line or having that big arc into the corner as these tires wear. As we see Shane Neiswanger kind of running it, and also Madalinas running the same line as well. As Brittle, I think, is really the only taker at the moment. As soon as I say that, Heller goes high with him. That is kind of running that very high line. But, of course, those guys running in the middle, like Nathan Jump, who gets a massive run on Brittle, but his momentum does stop.
Madalinas is squeezing Neiswanger as hard as he can to the outside wall. Zach Henry's going to push him into the corner. That's going to help the 7 tremendously. Can he clear Shane Neiswanger? Yes, he can. Hunter Madalinas to the lead for the first time tonight. Henry going to follow him through on the bottom. Henry's got a huge run on the bottom. Yeah, he's going to clear Neiswanger as well.
Yeah, Neiswanger got into the wall a little bit there, coming off of 4, and that just kept the door wide open for Henry. But, of course, Brittle's going to send it on deep on both Heller and Shane Neiswanger, and he's going to just get to the bumper of the 12, but he's going to be just at the quarter panel, if not the bumper of Neiswanger. But you got to be careful not to get sandwiched by the 11 here.
Brittle's clear up on Heller, but just barely. Heller's going to jump back to the inside. That battle for 4th continues as Christian Peterson, he has not made any forward progress, and you really got to feel for him. He was trying so hard on the bottom, but he just couldn't make it work.
Yeah, that bottom line, it's kind of been hit or miss, it seems like, for some guys. For some guys, it works really, really well. They're able to get a nice drive off the corner, and for some guys, it just doesn't work. Plus, it's Peterson. Because I wonder, too, you got to think maybe he's rolling the corner a little bit too much or not getting back into the gas enough either, but you also got to be careful with the old tires because with this new truck, that back end can get very upset very, very easily no matter what racetrack you're at.
Yeah, definitely handling always a factor here at Auto Club. These trucks have been driving pretty good so far tonight. Haven't seen any self-spins. Hunter Madalinas leads now with 25 to go, so my attention turns to pit stops. When do you want to make that final stop of the race, assuming that everyone has to make one more?
Yeah, because, if you stop now, you can make it to the end of the race.
Be a mega undercut.
Yeah, but I think it's kind of a waiting game at this point. I think whenever we see the first set of leaders, kind of these guys in the top 5 and top 10 pit, I think that's going to cause a chain reaction here, Oates, where you're going to see a lot more guys also come down pit road. But again, it's when do you do it? I think honestly you have to do it within the next 5 to 8 laps or so for that pit stop to really be effective.
Yeah, well, I'm struggling to decide if you want to do an undercut or an overcut here. I think we've seen a mixed bag of strategies throughout the season. I'd always like to go long, but I don't know. It's been hard enough to pass tonight, and with only 24 to go, you might want to take that track position now. On the other hand, if you go longer, you're going to have that tire advantage for the rest of the race, and we know how abrasive this surface can be. So I think it'll come down really to these drivers' individual styles. What do they want? Do they want to be on offense, or do they want to be on defense?
As we actually talk about pit stops, we see the 41 of Nathan Jump actually come out of pit road. He's actually going to go a lap down, so maybe he's trying to go for that undercut a little bit, as he will be popped out there on the backstretch. But I believe that is, I want to just double check, make sure I got that correct. Yes, he's not a lap down somehow, but he is currently way back there now, around 28th, so that's a big detriment to him. Unless it's not updated yet, but I think
Yeah, he's definitely a lap down. It just hasn't updated yet. We got another one down pit road, by the way. I believe that's Trent Curtis.
Yep, that is the 51 of Trent Curtis. So some of these guys actually, as we talk about it, are opting for this undercut like you were talking about, Oates, or that we were talking about. But we see the leaders currently staying out, which I think is the right play. Because I think, sure, like you mentioned, if you pit now, get the undercut, you get some track position. But the downside to that, especially, I think these guys are going to pit with around, somewhere between 16 to 18 laps left. I just don't think that tire wear is really worth it, because you're going to have a lot fresher tires for a very shorter run, and we have seen so far tonight how much of a benefit at this racetrack it is to have those fresher tires.
Yeah, definitely. I think 15's too late. I think right now is too early. I'd put with around 17 to go. But at the same time, I think it really comes down to just driver preference. And by the way, that's what fresh tires can do. I do think it comes down to driver preference, though. I think that if you're someone that you know that you like to overcut and you like to be kind of on offense as the race continues, pit a little bit later. But if you'd rather be on defense, you'd rather get the work done early and then try and hold off everybody else, go ahead and pit early.
Well, as we were talking about it, we see Nathan Jump actually able to unlap himself as he just flies by the leaders, and we actually will see Shane Icemonger and Hunter Brittle, the two Dark Horse teammates, diving down into pit road.
And I wonder if that's going to trigger these leaders to come in as well. I imagine if you're Zach Henry, you probably... Honestly, I can't tell. On one hand, I can understand why he'd want to pit the lap before Madalinas, because you get the jump on him and you don't really have that much of a tire disadvantage. But if you go a little bit longer, maybe by a lap or two, then you can be on offense and have that advantage in your back pocket for the rest of the race. So, like I said, it's going to come down to preference and, of course, whether or not we get a caution.
Yeah, and we actually see a lot of people come down pit road. Hunter Brittle, Matt Durr, Jackson Sims in the 6th machine, Shane Icemonger, Michael Senzi, Gavin Fitzgerald. We see Eric Kepf. And I believe Blair Kneebone also coming down pit road as well. So a good majority of the Dark Horse teammates and Black Stallion teammates, and of course some other teammates as well coming down pit road. But of course Michael Senzi, the odd duckling out there, as he's the only E95 guy to pit on that current cycle.
Rest in peace to Eric Kepf, by the way. He's still
letting well, but
rest in peace. Anyways, back to Madalinas and Henry. What I do think is interesting about these two is they're sort of involved in this game of pit stop chicken, because I don't think either of them wants to be the driver to pit first. You don't want to have that disadvantage for the rest of the run. But at the same time, you can't not pit first yourself for the rest of the race, because then you're going to come out with fresh tires and like 10 laps to go. That's not enough time.
Yeah, that's not enough time to gain any position. I think honestly what Nathan Jump is doing at the moment is kind of the right call. Got the super undercut going on right now, currently 15th. I believe as everybody kind of pits and stuff like that, he will cycle into the top 5, I believe. So actually a really nice call from him at the moment. It's just the only issue is if you pit right now, obviously you will go a lap down. So like you mentioned, you have to be able to give yourself enough time to at least unlap yourself, or at least, come around and unlap yourself as the leader is going into the pits as well. So that's also a thing you got to keep in mind, as there's about, let me count them here, I think about 8 or 9 cars or so, maybe even 10, that are currently a lap down as well.
Yeah, definitely. So you don't want to get trapped a lap down in the case that there is a caution, but of course, I feel like Hunter Madalinas probably has enough of a pace advantage that he could get the wave around and be fine. Um, I don't know though. I feel like now is probably the right lap to pit. If I had to play backseat crew chief here, we'll have to wait and see what they
I
do.
I think I would agree with you on this one. I think you do have to pit either now or in the next 2 laps.
Yeah, 16 to go. I mean, that's not a huge amount of time to use your fresh tires. Henry's backing off, and he is pulling it in this time. So is Madalinas. Henry gaining a lot of time on Madalinas on pit entry. Gets it slowed down, though, so good optimization there by the 12 truck. We're going to have 16 to go when they come out. We'll see who wins the race off pit road between these two. And actually, I wonder if either of them's going to take 2 tires.
And we do have another taker right behind him. I believe that is the 00 of Aiden DuPont. If I'm not mistaken. Also, Nick Caressel also down there in pit lane, and I believe one other truck as well. Can't quite see who that is.
It is 4 tires, by the way, for Madalinas and Henry, so no one going to take a Hail Mary or anything here. Henry and Madalinas going to come off
race.
Hail. Madalinas gets it barely. Henry's going to be right with him, but they're going to have a good amount of track position to make up as those undercutters get by. So 16 laps to go, and now it is in the hands of Hunter Madalinas to run down everybody that's jumped him.
Yeah, and the beauty is, too, if you are Nathan jumping that 41 truck that we're seeing on your screen, all the cars in front of you have not pitted yet. The 24 Monge, Jared Darling, and of course Zach Henry, that's Preston Henry, Rod Fastnoff, Louis Woodall, Brett Kincott, and then Witt and Heller have not pitted. So at the moment, this actually puts the 41 of Nathan Jump in our provisional first place at the moment here, Oates.
Yeah, Nathan Jump, I mean, he got the undercut on everybody else. He pulled the trigger first, and now with 15 laps to go, he is going to be on defense. So this is kind of where those different mentalities come into play. Do you want to be on defense for the rest of the race? And the undercut's probably the way to go, but would you rather be on offense? We know Hunter Madalinas likes to be aggressive. Stay out a little bit longer and see what you can do with the fresh tires.
Yeah, just so much ground now for Madalinas and Zach Henry have to make up as they're not going to go a lap down. So they are going to stay on the lead lap. So that helps them out tremendously. But they do have to now work their way through a bunch of cars that they are a lot faster than. And of course, you got to think 14 laps to go. Is it a little too late? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not a lot of time, but if anyone can do it, it probably is Hunter Madalinas, as we see a couple of more trucks coming down pit road. I believe that's Chris Heller in the 11 and Will Barbagelata. So Heller going the opposite end of the spectrum from Madalinas, staying out as long as he can before bringing it down.
And we're seeing that with some of the cars in front, as well as like Tony Monge, Jared Darling, Chris Heller just came down pit road, but I mean, like Brett Kincott and Paul Witt, who currently is in the lead. And if you told me that the 29 truck was going to be in the lead of this race, I would have thought you were a little bit crazy. Nothing against Paul Witt, just wasn't expecting it. But I don't think that's really going to last much longer, as Nathan Jump is starting to track down these guys here in the top 5.
I did earlier this season as well. Paul Witt went off strategy at Pocono and ended up pulling out a top 10. So, yeah. I mean, anything can happen, especially if a caution falls at the right time. This Gagala car is, by the way, pretty important. Christian Peterson fighting his championship rival Madalinas to get through traffic as quickly as possible. I think that's one thing that's going to make this drive back to the front a little bit more difficult for Hunter. If he was just passing, drivers that he wasn't racing against in the championship, I don't think it would be really that difficult. I mean, you're seeing the pace advantage already, but he's got to get by that 71 truck, and Peterson is now in a rare opportunity where he's basically going to be in a one-on-one fight with his biggest championship rival. If he can somehow keep that 7 truck behind, that's a big day for Peterson.
Yeah, he just has to worry about now getting around the 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald, which I think he's going to be able to clear him on the backstretch here. And the other thing that really helped Madalinas here was the 92 of Michael Senzi. His teammate there at E95 was able to let him around, so maybe some team orders going on as well, as Senzi really didn't put up too much of a fight with Madalinas. But now Madalinas has to be worrisome of, this fight between the 71 and the 14 truck in front of him. But I think he should be able to blow past Fitzgerald pretty easily. And it's basically, like you mentioned, a dogfight between him and Peterson as they come, just with about 10 laps to go.
Yeah, it's a one-on-one fight too. I mean, these two have raced against each other on track before this race, but there was traffic in the way. There was other things kind of getting in the way. Now Peterson has a clean shot at that number 7. Can he keep him behind? The tire advantage would say no, but maybe Peterson's got something up his sleeve.
I will mention, I think we just saw the last of our pit stops for kind of our top 10 guys, as I did see Elliot Henderson, the 37 truck, come out of pit lane not too long ago. So I think that kind of ends our pit stops here a little bit in our pit cycle. Of course, you have Tony Monge, Jared Darling, Paul Witt, who are trying to stay out as long as they can. I think they might be able to do it. I think they're on some very wacky alternative strategies, but it's going to be a matter of time before these guys who've been fighting for the top 5 catch up to all those other guys as well. But we did see Hunter Brittle there in the top 5. He kind of pitted with Shane Eiswanger, who's currently in 6 with his teammates. So kind of working their way back up through as well.
And Jump is really on the precipice of being able to make it. He'll have to go 24 laps, which is easily done, but definitely, I don't know, not really flirting with the edge, more so talking stage with the edge of a run, but yeah. Anyways, here comes Hunter Madalinas trying to get around the 51 of Trent Curtis as we switch over to your leader, Nathan Jump. He's got Hunter Brittle and Shane Neiswanger behind him. Kind of a battle of two strategies here. Curtis gets dispatched by the 7 and the 71. Now here's the battle, by the way. Madalinas is on the inside of Christian Peterson for P4.
And also, too, coming up pit lane, Paul Witt finally dove out into the pit. Same with Tony Modge and Jared Darling. So they'll lose out on their positions. Potentially might even go a lap down. We'll have to wait and see. But those guys, like I mentioned, and like I predicted here, Oates, Nathan Jump currently is our race leader. But, of course, he has Hunter Brittle not too far behind him, who's looking to kind of play spoiler a little bit and try to find his first win of the season.
A little bit of contact there between the 71 and the 7. I had a feeling Peterson wasn't going to let him go so easily. Madalina's just inching ahead on the inside. He's obviously got better turn. I think the fight's over for Peterson. Ooh. Hunter Madalina's up to P4, and he can see the win in front of him. Just 3 more spots to go.
Yeah, coming out of turn 2 there, Nathan Jump kind of got a little squirrely. And the number 10 of Hunter Brittle had to take some evasive maneuvers to kind of make sure he didn't get caught up with the 41 truck. But a big old run here coming out of 4 for Hunter Brittle on that 10 machine.
I think Jump went too early. I think the tires are catching up with him now. I know night race at Auto Club, you might not think the tires would wear that much, but I just think there's not enough grip left in it. Oh, contact for the lead. Jump up towards the outside wall. He keeps it off the wall. Brittle on the inside is going to muscle his way to the race lead. Neiswanger going to try and follow him through.
Yeah, Neiswanger trying to make sure he tried to reap the benefit of that contact between the 10 and the 41. But what a run here the 41's going to get on the backstretch. Some amazing racing we've had here all night here, Oates, and I don't think it's going to end anytime soon. As, you know, that 7 truck had Madalinas up to the back bumper of the 49 truck, and also Zach Henry right behind him.
Yeah, Madalinas is already there. It did not take him nearly as long as I thought it would to get back to the front of the field. The question is, how hard are these guys going to fight him for it? Madalinas has the opportunity to get both here in turn 1. Jump running the middle. Madalinas on the bottom. They're going to go 3 wide, just barely for the race lead. Brittle on the high side of the run. Hunter Madalinas on the bottom. Here comes Zach Henry behind.
Yeah, and I think, too, here, Oates, you got to take the gloves off if you're any of these guys in the top 5 right now. I mean, you're fighting for a win. No matter where you are currently in the championship or in the chase, you know, the gloves have to come off, and you just got to fight with all your might here as we come with 5 laps to go. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see these guys maybe get a little more squirrely as these laps start to wind down. But I think, of course, like you mentioned, you have to fight. You got to do it now.
Brittle gives him a shot into turn 1 and follows him through on the high line. Brittle, why did you go for it? Brittle stays in line. That'll open up the door for Zach Henry to get to second. Brittle tight. He's out of it. He's in the outside wall. Loose off the corner. And now it'll be a straight-up fight between the 7 and the 12 truck coming to 4 laps to go. And Hunter Brittle, what are you doing staying in the high line, man?
That is unfortunate for Brittle. It does have his teammate, Shane Neiswanger, right behind him, but he's not going to be able to hook up with him. Christian Peterson move him up to P3 as he takes advantage of Brittle smacking that outside wall here, Oates.
Yeah, Brittle, I mean, he had the opportunity to go for a slider on Madalinas. He just didn't do it. So Madalinas back to the race lead. It is playing out beautifully for this number 7 truck. His only competition now is that 12 truck following behind.
beautiful run there for Nicewanger, but overcooks the corner a little bit in the center of the corner, and Peterson's able to get right back around him. We got some great fighting here. We got some blocking here on the Hunter Brittle from Shea Nicewanger.
Nicewanger throws the block on Brittle, then sends one down the inside of Christian Peterson. He'll get tight on the bottom. He's not able to do it, and Zach Henry has closed up the lead to just under a car length. He's in the draft now with 3 laps to go. Can Zach Henry fight for his first win of the season?
Yeah, Zach Henry, Hunter Madalinas, just absolutely gone from the 71 of Christian Peterson. I don't think Peterson's going to be able to catch back up to him, especially having to fight off the 49 and the 10, who are relentless as they're currently throwing blocks on each other. So being teammates have gone outside the window. I'd love to be in that Discord channel right now, listen to the two of them duel this out. But what a fight we got here.
Contact behind between Nicewanger and Brittle. Now into turn number 3. Brittle going to go back to the inside as Zach Henry continues to try and run down Madalinas for the lead. Madalinas has a nice line through 1 and 2, but Henry gains just a little bit in 3 and 4. 2 laps to go and 1 car length in it.
Yeah, if you're Zach Henry, you just got to keep this pressure on, but eventually you got to make your move. He's still a little too far back to try to make a dive bomb or do anything drastic onto the number 7 of Madalinas. But if you're Madalinas, keep on hitting your marks, keep your head down, and essentially turn off that mirror the best you can, and keep on driving your race. Because at the moment, I don't think Zach Henry really has an answer for the 7 unless he does something very, very drastic, like drive it way too deep into the corner. But he's pretty much shadow driving that 7 truck in front of him.
Hunter got a nice run there through 1 and 2, but Henry's keeping the pressure on in 3 and 4. It'll be a straight-up fight on the white flag. 1 lap to go, a 10th and a half between them at Auto Club. It'll be a Hollywood finale as we go racing just 30 minutes outside of Hollywood, down towards turn number 1. What's Henry's play? He'll stay behind the 7. Madalinas to the high side. That's not where he's run before. Henry goes to the bottom. He'll have to set up for a slide job in 3 and 4. He's got a nice run off the corner, but can he do anything with it? 2 corners left here at Fontana, just over a car length. What's Henry going to do? Down to turn number 3. He'll drive it in, but Madalinas covers it all.
He's not going to get there.
Madalinas back to the gas first. Henry can't do anything about it. Hunter Madalinas has done it again at Auto Club. To the checkered flag, and Hunter Madalinas wins.
Wow, what a race, Oates. Great there for Madalinas. That's his 7th of the season, and he's going to increase that points lead just narrowly to Christian Peterson, even though he came in 3rd. But what a fight there at the end between teammates Shea Nicewanger and Hunter Brittle, kind of fighting back and forth. Brittle was all over the bumper of Nicewanger, but couldn't get the pass done. Of course, you really don't want to dump your teammate for 4th, but a really good battle between the 49 and the 10 truck.
Yeah, I mean, Zach Henry tried his best, but ultimately he did not have an answer for Hunter Madalinas. In fact, I don't think anyone's had an answer for Hunter Madalinas all season. He has been dominant ever since really taking that win back at North Wilkesboro. He has been unstoppable. Henry to pit road will have to settle for 2nd as Hunter Madalinas extends his championship lead.
Yeah, I mean, of course, for Zach Henry, nothing really to hang your head on. I mean, it's unfortunate he couldn't get the pass done. He started 17th, so really good drive there from Zach Henry. Nothing really to hang your head low on. Did an amazing job here in this race. Just couldn't get it quite done with the closing laps, but still an amazing race out of that 12 truck.
I mean, your top 2 both started outside the top 10. Madalinas back in 17th, Madalinas back in 18th, Henry back in 17th. So, I mean, what a drive through the field by both of these guys. And Hunter Madalinas, I don't really know how he did it. I mean, he was not really anywhere for the first run. He got a little bit better the second run, and by the end of the race, he had this place figured out.
Yeah, I think it's just for Madalinas, he just got better as the runs went on. I think he kind of figured out what was working, what wasn't working, and he kind of used that to his advantage. I mean, we kind of seen that all season from Madalinas, where he doesn't qualify too great, but he comes back and surges in the race itself. And, he comes out and, places either in the top 5 or pulls out a win. So, I mean, Madalinas is just a guy who just gets better as the race goes on. And he continued to prove that here at this race here at Auto Club. And just I wouldn't say a masterclass, but it was a spectacular performance out of him in that 7 truck.
Yeah, he did a great job in this race. Incredible drive. Honestly, probably one of the better drives he had this season. I mean, it's hard to pick in a season of such dominant wins, but from 18th to 1st, I mean, that's incredible.
Yeah, great job from him. I know he's very excited. Like I mentioned, I talked to him before the race, and he was just more worried about just getting points. I don't think he really came into this race expecting a win, but that's what he got, and he's not going to bust out a huge lead over Peterson because Peterson came in third, but it's going to give him quite a bit more of a cushion heading into next week's race.
Yeah, definitely a great run for him. Let's go ahead and bring him up into the booth and talk with your race winner. Hunter Madalinas, it's Jonathan Oates up in the broadcast booth. Man, what a drive that was from you tonight. You started 18th, and as the race went on, you just figured it out. Walk us through that race.
I don't even know. It went by in a blur. Yeah, not the qualifying effort we wanted, our worst result this season. So I knew it was going to be a struggle. Knew passing was going to be a struggle, but man, we took our time moving up through the field. We were very patient that first run and patient that second run. Um, I was kind of just on since the start of the race. I thought I was just on damage control to try and limit what points I was going to lose to Christian in weeks, and I don't know, something came to life. We started moving with speed, and I completely have to give a 100% shout out to Zach. I mean, thanks so much to him. He worked with me so much to get me up into the lead and to push me out front, and I probably couldn't have done it without him.
You talk about passing. I mean, we saw it all night. It was very difficult to make moves, especially with how disadvantageous, I think that's a word, how disadvantaged the bottom lane was. How are you able to cut your way through this field?
Yeah, it took adapting. I couldn't stay on my normal routes of running the same line every lap. I had to get technical and choosing what lines I wanted, and it was just a matter of you could make a pass on the bottom if you were saving your tires enough, but you really needed to get the move done instantly, because if you did not get that move done, you were getting freight trained a couple spots. So the whole race was picking and choosing what passes you think you can make right then and there, what passes you need to just help materialize it get later.
Yeah, definitely. Patience seemed to be kind of the name of the game tonight. But that's kind of uncharacteristic for you. We've seen a lot of aggressive driving out of you this season. It's worked really well. But tonight, a bit of a different approach. And honestly, all of tonight was a little bit uncharacteristic for you with the slower starting spot and having to work your way up. What about this race kind of was different than the rest of the season?
I feel like because of how large this track is. I mean, it's a pretty much super speedway. I would say it's just like Michigan, so you got to race it kind of just like Michigan, and the racing was just like it. You, at those kind of tracks, you just got to take a different approach. That it might be better to not get a spot right then and there to get it later. I was very disciplined into not pitting earlier than I wanted to. I was able to time that pit stop, I think, perfectly from when we needed to make it to the end. And, it just took a lot of patience, keeping myself calm, and then just being in my zone and logging lap after lap after lap.
Yeah, it was an impressive drive out of you tonight. Great improvement throughout the night, and you're able to come away with win number 7, I think it is, on the season. So great job there. Is there anyone that you want to thank?
Yeah, thanks to the E95 guys. I know we didn't have the greatest of runs tonight, but we're still learning for some of these guys. I know Elliot unfortunately got caught up in that big one. But thanks to everyone watching. I got my boys Aiden and JP watching. Thanks to this league, and thanks for you guys for broadcasting each of these races.
All right, well, congratulations on your win. We're going to go ahead and let you go.
All right, thank you guys.
And that was Hunter Madalinas. His march towards the championship continues, but more on that later. Right now, we have Evan Snyder standing by with Zach Henry.
Yeah, we have our second place finisher, Zach Henry, who started 17th. So first off, Zach, I want to get your thoughts on that. Not the greatest qualifying out of you. Like I just mentioned, you started 17th, but able to drive through this field. Had a really nice bounce back race here after not having the greatest finishes these past 2 races. So how does it feel to get the second place finish here tonight?
I'm just happy to run kind of well. It's been a struggle this season, and I feel like I'm kind of known for qualifying super good and having really great qualifying runs, and I haven't qualified good either. So it's just kind of been a lot of the poor runs have been, just some bad luck trying to work my way through the field and due to my qualifying efforts. But this has been a place I've never qualified well. I typically start somewhere around 10th here every time we show up at this track. So the qualifying effort was normal for me, and I've always had pretty good long run pace here. So I just kind of had to wait till people started, wearing the right fronts out, getting into the wall a little bit, and then just kind of picking people off one by one as we go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you did have some of that, like you mentioned, that long pace run that you did mention, but I want to get your thoughts on how was it, fighting there towards the end with Hunter Madalinas and also Christian Pedersen, Shea Neiswanger, and all these other guys, coming down to the wire, especially with that little bit of a pit strategy, which I will ask you about next. But how was it to be able to drive through that field there at the end and kind of fight with Madalinas for the race win, essentially?
Once we got into first and second and cleared everybody, started driving away a little bit. I couldn't get back up to him. We were on equal tires, and with him having the clean air and me having no draft help, that was going to make it next to impossible to pass him. Especially with how good he is. I mean, he's kind of dominating this season for a reason. But yeah, I mean, I kind of got stuck around 2-3 tenths behind him and just couldn't really get up to him to even have a shot at it.
And of course, that pit strategy too also paid dividends to you as well, with being able to kind of fight a little bit there towards the end. So, were you kind of in a situation of whatever Madalinas was going to pit, that's when you were going to pit, or were you always going to kind of pit around that lap window that you end up pitting at?
So I was working with my teammate Chris Eller on that. We were kind of planning to pit a few laps later, and then when everybody else kind of started peeling off, we were both right there behind Hunter, and I was like, you know what, I trust Hunter a lot when it comes to pit strategy, so I decided I was just going to pit with him. And then about a lap later, he asked me when I was wanting to pit, and at that point, I'd already been working with him on that previous run. We just worked together and try to get back to the field and hopefully race it out for a win, which is how that worked out for us.
Yeah, which is great for you. Second place finish, like you mentioned, and like what I've been saying, not the greatest season by you, but it's great to see you back up in the top five, getting that second place finish here at Auto Club. But is anybody else or anybody you'd like to thank here tonight before we let you go?
Got to shout out my wife, my parents, got some family that I know watches these things each week when they are broadcasted. My 2511 teammates, Chris, Matthew, Aiden, and Preston. I felt like we had a pretty solid run going as a group, like kind of collectively. I know Matt and Chris were up front early before that big wreck. Matt was taken down that, unfortunately. And then Chris, I think, just kind of picked the wrong strategy there at the end. But it's always fun racing with those guys, and I love being a part of that team. Congratulations to Madalinas. It was fun working with him and kind of pushing him through the field a little bit there. It's fun trying to beat the guy. He's better than me, so anytime I have a shot at that, it's a learning experience for me. You guys for doing this broadcast. Y'all do a great job, and I look forward to rewatching this thing. And the admins for GLR, they've been doing good. I think they've been making some good changes to this league to try to help out the racing that was pretty rough at the start of this season, and it's definitely cleaned up a lot over this last probably month and a half.
We appreciate you, Zach. Again, congratulations on your second place finish here tonight, and we look forward to seeing how you finish out this year. Hopefully, you also finish out strong. But thank you again, and have a good rest of your night.
You too, Evan. Thank you.
And that was your second place finisher, Zach Henry. And we'll go back over to you, Oates, to interview Christian Pedersen, who came in third here tonight.
Yeah, solid third place run for Christian Pedersen. Sort of back up on the horse after a disappointing run at Iowa. So Christian Pedersen, your third place finisher. Christian, what were your thoughts on that race?
Disappointing. I still finished second or third, didn't I?
I honestly forgot, and I kind of just started talking, and I didn't really know where I was going with it. That's my
You're right
bad.
though. So, because Hunter beat me, so it kind of was disappointing. No, but it was fun. That was a lot of fun. It was. I thought the top was gonna wear out the tires there more than it did, and it kind of second run there kind of turned into like, to me it turned into like a strategy game with how you were gonna position your truck, but I just kept getting frustrated and just kept trying to dive to the bottom, and I think it kept hurting my tires, but I don't know. I don't think it made a difference. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun racing hard and like so close to everybody.
Yeah, definitely a lot of close racing, but we saw in that last run a little bit of pit strategy coming into play. Some drivers electing to go earlier, some electing to go later. How did you pick when you were going to come down pit road?
Um, yeah, when I saw Jump go, I thought it was a little early, but I was like, man, maybe it'll work because he was moving there for a second and we were pretty far off pace from what we had on fresh tires. But I don't know. I was just kind of hoping to go a couple more laps than Jump and then before Madalenas, but Madalenas played it pretty perfect, and yeah, I just couldn't get her done.
Yeah, definitely throughout the playoffs, we've seen Hunter Madalenas be the driver to beat. Do you have an answer for him as these last couple of races come up?
I don't know. I thought I did tonight, but he's doing pretty good job. So it's gonna be hard to beat him. We'll see what we got. Where are we going the last two?
I don't know. Evan, where are we going the last two?
I should know because I drive in the series. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
We are
All
going
right.
to Rockingham and then Texas to finish out the Legacy Texas to finish out the season.
Ooh, Old Texas. That'll be fun. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We're gonna give it all we got. Gonna race them clean, gonna race them hard, but we gotta figure out not wearing out the right front. So
Yeah, definitely a very strong run for you tonight, finishing third to back up your strong run from Iowa.
thank
You're
you.
welcome. So 2 strong runs in a row. Is there anybody that you would like to thank?
Yeah, of course. Just Tony Manji, Jared Duda at Manji Motorsports, my teammates there. Manji was having a good run and he looked wicked fast, and then I guess I don't know, he got into a wreck on the backstretch there, and I'm not sure what happened to Duda, but enjoy racing with those guys and our spotter there, Yanks, and you guys putting on the broadcast and everybody who helps put on the league, Elliot, Jeff, everybody else who has a part in it.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for joining us, Christian. Congratulations on your 3rd place run. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, John.
And that was Christian Peterson, your 3rd place finisher. Man, apologies for calling that 3rd place run disappointing. I don't know where I was going with that sentence. I've been a little all over the place today. It's been a weird day, man. Anyways,
It's been an
let's go ahead
exciting
and go
race.
through your
I'm not surprised either.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go through your finishing results, starting with your top 10. It's Hunter Madalenas who wins after starting 18th in the Eric Kepf parentheses not dead but still rest in peace Memorial 160. Second place goes to Zach Henry. Didn't quite have an answer for Madalenas there, but looked to challenge him at the end. Third place, Christian Peterson. Keeps the points gap manageable going into the last 2 races of the season, but he might need something special to really have a shot at the championship. Shane Neiswanger comes home in 4th. How about that? Your top 4 all started 10th or worse. 5th place goes to Hunter Brittle. P6 to Nathan Jump, your defending champion. P7, Gavin Fitzgerald sneaks into the top 10 after a pretty mid-pack run there, so solid run for Fitz. P8, Jackson Sims. P9, Matt Durr. And P10, Michael Senzi rounds out your top 10.
And the 11 truck coming in 11th, Chris Heller, he was running pretty well at the start of the race. Unfortunate for him. Then you have Trent Curtis in 12th, Lewis Woodall in 13th, Aiden DuPont in 14th, who he was actually having a really solid race in himself. Running up in the top 10 actually at one point, but finishes 14th. Brett Kincott, Paul Witt, Jared Duda, Eric Kepf, RIP, but he's alive, but RIP. Blair Neobone able to come in 19th after starting 29th, and then Preston Henry, brother of Zach Henry, coming in 20th.
Yeah, solid runs for both Neobone and Henry. Taking a look at 21st through 30th, James Shiflett comes home P21. Robin Durr, 22nd. Jared Darling, heartbreaking for him. He started out very strong, only able to come away with 23rd. Tony Manji, P24, after getting caught up in that earlier wreck. Cody McCorkle comes home in 24th. 25th. Nicholas Caressel, P26. Rod Fasna, P27. Elliot Henderson, another victim of the wreck earlier on, comes home 28th. Alex Feder comes home 29th. And Will Barbagelata rounds out your top 30. Another driver that got taken out on the big one on the back straightaway.
We go through the rest of them. Tyrone Baker, unfortunate for him, he also got caught up. He was the one that caused that first caution, and then Matthew Weeks, who had a very unfortunate as well, got caught up in that same incident that Baker got caught up in, coming in 32nd. Me, for some reason, in 33rd, even though I did not race, but I'm there.
Yeah, great run for Evan Snyder. Brings it home in 33rd,
I
rounding
mean,
out a
it's-
full IndyCar field.
I mean, hey, it about sums up how my season's been going, but yeah, anyway.
Yeah, tough luck for Evan Snyder, but hey, at least you got to join us up in the booth. That is going to do it for the Eric Kepf parentheses Not Dead Memorial 160 here from the Auto Club Speedway. It was a great race tonight, a lot of close racing, and in the end, Hunter Madalinas, despite starting 18th, man, I really thought someone was going to stop him this week, takes home yet another win. Is it even a march or is it more of a waltz towards the championship at this point? It continues, and it will continue next week. A confident strut towards the championship continues. And it will continue next week from Rockingham, then one more race at Legacy, Texas to round out the season. So 2 very unique challenges ahead of these drivers, but it'll have to wait another week. Next up on Split Second TV, it'll be this Thursday. The OSRL Premier Series heads to the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so that'll be next up on Split Second. But for tonight's race, I've been Jonathan Oates, joined alongside by Evan Snyder, and shout out to Jeff Johnson, everyone's favorite producer. That's going to do it for the Eric Kepf Memorial 160. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you all next week.